this HR21 diesel only machine from 2015. So what I will do, I will read the voltages on our analog output from the joystick, which is the wire PW right there. It's PW, this is the orange wire, this is where the black wire connected, and it goes into my multimeter. So this multimeter is gonna see the voltage on the PW that's out from the joystick. The voltage goes through the board and comes out on this end on AN, that's analog output, and my sense wire is here, and it's going to go into multimeter, which is on the left hand side. So what I will do, I will drive the machine in 3 different speeds on a selector, so the Tortoise, Hare and off-road, and then I will do it elevated at last. Okay, so alright, so Tortoise, there's no high revs, the low revs. Drive forward. So we have a 3.8 and 3.1. So 3.8 is from the joystick, 3.1 is from the board, analog output. The voltage is stable. If you move the joystick forward slowly, you see the voltage is rising very slowly. So nice and stable, and the drive nice and smooth. Okay. Yeah, no problems with the drive. Nice and smooth. Okay, so I'm gonna just go reverse now. Okay, that's the maximum voltages. And the drive is smooth as well. So if I go to slow it down, voltage comes down back to 0. So now I'm gonna go fast drive. So I have a high revs, push the trigger, put the voltage on. I'm only achieving 3.7 volts on the joystick, so I think there is some fault in the machine. I should be having the voltage higher, and it jumped up 5.4, 5.48, and output is 4.7. Okay, and same reverse. .4 and 4.1. Now I'm gonna go into off-road. Forward 3.7 and 3.0. Reverse. That's driving off-road. Here again. 5.5. So that's my fast speed drive, and that's as fast as it can go. Okay. Off-road is a bit slower. It's slower but has much more torque than the drive. And the last one. We'll do elevator. So I'm off the boom switch. So I came up off the boom switch. And I'm going to go drive. Selected on a fast drive, so I have a high revs at the moment. If I push the trigger, revs drops down. And the drive is very slow. And that's the voltages. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure voltage on this board right here. So this board on the left hand side is a proportional board, and it does have this one plug which is 12 volt power supply, and one of the wires AN, this one here, AN CN, That's analog input from the cage. So I will have my multimeter on that wire, and I will use the 0 volt from here as a reference. Okay, and then I will measure the current going out from that board. So we have analog signal coming into the board, and it comes out as a current into drive solenoid, and that goes out as analog SL, and on the board is marked as SOL plus. See if we can put some light on. Yeah, so SOL plus, that's a current output, and a control wire CONT at the bottom is the analog input. So I will measure the current, and we will look for the current stability. Is it stable? How high is it going to? And the next test what I will do, I will have my current meter onto SWA, and that's supplied to drive solenoid directly. So it goes from that portional board into this big PCB. It comes out through here. That's SWA, and SWD is a wire that goes right into proportional solenoids on the pump. So this is my multimeter with the voltages on the right hand side, and this is the one with the current. Okay, this is an amp mode. So I will start the Tortoise Speed, so I'm gonna go forward. So just a trigger, and then move the joystick slowly. The current is rising as well as the voltage. So I have 900 milliamps and 3.4 volts. Okay. If I drive reverse, I should have same current, same voltage. Okay. So now if I drive the fast drive, the air mode. Okay, trigger, 1 volt on the input, no current, 0 amps. Okay, now I'm going to drive slowly. You see the current is going up. Machine is driving. And if I go full speed, I will do the same reverse, so trigger and going reverse. And it's full speed now. And do off-road, trigger and driving now. Full speed, 3.4 volts input, 900 milliamps forward. I'll do the same reverse, just a trigger and reverse back. Okay, 3.7, about 1 amp. Okay, so now we're gonna go in air mode, but I'm gonna go off the boom switch. So just a trigger, going to drive. (800 milliamps, 3.57 volts). Okay. Alright, so I moved my multimeters now over, and I connected the current meter to measure the current. It's connected in series of the wire SWA, so the swash A. Okay, so that wire goes directly into the pump, to solenoid. and what I will do at the same time, I will measure the voltage on that SWA wire. So I'm measuring the current to the proportional valve, and I'm measuring the voltage at the same time, just for the reference, because sometimes it's not possible to measure the current, and sometimes we can just go by the voltage measuring, so we don't have to put a meter in series on a wire. But the best way obviously to do it is to measure the current, and I will use this 0 point as before as my reference for the voltages. Okay, so that's a 0, the voltmeter, current, and SWA solenoid. Okay, we'll do the same drive and the same, we'll drive in the same sequence. Just to show, this is what I'm measuring. So we have a swash A and swash D. So one is forward drive, one is reverse drive. So I'm gonna measure swash A only, forward drive, but reverse is gonna be the same. Okay, so my voltmeter on the right hand side and the current meter on the left. So this is gonna measure the current swash A, drive forward solenoid, and it's going to be measured the voltage at the same solenoid, so the current and the voltage supplied to the solenoid. Okay, so I will start with the Tortoise Speed as previously. I push the trigger, so we have 0, nothing, and I move the joystick forward just a bit. So we're starting to get a current. So the bias current is about 450 milliamps, or 550, sorry, 550 milliamps. And you see, if I go forward more on the joystick, it starts to drive. Okay, and if I keep going, it's gonna speed up, and that's my maximum speed I have on the Tortoise, and the values are 4 volts and 950 milliamps. The current is pretty much stable, it's just jumping up by 10 milliamps, 10-20, so it's not a big deal. So drive, it feels fine. Let me reverse back a bit, and I will do the same at fast speed. Okay, so now we're gonna go in here, fast drive. Okay, so I have a high revs, push the trigger. So now I'll move the joystick forward a bit, starting around 500 milliamps again. And if I go to drive nice and smooth, the current is steady. And if I go full speed drive, that's the maximum drive I can have. And this is the balance. Reverse now. Just trying reverse now, so no data to show. Okay, and now I'm gonna go off-road. So same, trigger, 0, push it slowly, and the current, 580 milliamps, keep pushing. Start driving. Okay, slowly. If I go more, that's a maximum speed in off-road mode, and I have 1 amp and 4.1 volts. That's a maximum. Okay, so next thing I will go in here again, and I will go off the foot. So I'm elevated now, so the machine is going to go in the elevated drive. So trigger, the revs drop down. As I move the joystick, you see the bias current showing up already. And if I continue to drive, it drives nice and slowly. Keep pushing a bit more. This is maximum. And this is as fast as it can go. So elevator drive is slow, it's limited at 800 milliamps, and the voltage is 3.4.